So how do things change if you are bullied on the line? So all of the things that we've been talking about are kind of like strategies and skills that you can use if you're in the school building and somebody says something to you or does something to you that is offensive to you in any way. But how do you deal with social bullying or cyber bullying? What do you do? Do your strategies and skills change?
My school takes cyberbullying very seriously, and we get those talks every month. And if that person goes to the school and we take it up with the principal, they will get the parents down there so they can talk about it.
Very good. So your school is making sure that everybody understands that cyberbullying is not to happen. And if it does, then they immediately have conversations with the adults that are involved. Are there some things though that you can do to protect yourself from cyberbullying in addition to the adults in your life?
Well, all my social media accounts are private, so that's not really a problem for me. But if I was talking for the public, I would say to stop or I will get someone involved.
Okay, so Lane, that's smart. Your social media accounts, the only people who can access you are people who you give permission to access you. I think that's quite intelligent, a very good strategy, I may add. Darren, what are some other things you can do to protect yourself against a cyber bully?
Um, like Lynn said, just keep your accounts private and also if they say something and you need like evidence that they said it, sometimes it will stay on your device so they can't say that they didn't say it, but you still have evidence that they said it. And you can like take screenshots to send it to your parents so they can show see if they have it.
That's good too. So you can um, take pictures of memorialize, for lack of better words, the cyberbullying, and again share that with the adults so that you can protect yourself. Um, some of the other things you can do, right, kind of comparable to what Lane was sharing, is turn off the comments. So if you put something online and people start being nasty, you can just take away their ability to be able to comment and turn the comments off. You can delete accounts. Like if you think that it's just really gotten out of control, um, you can delete an account. You don't have to respond. Going back to what Darin was saying, you can just take the screenshots and share them. And you can remove yourself, kind of like you would do in person in school, and literally shut off the internet, right? So you can protect yourself both in person and online. But I do have a question that I want to talk to you guys about, because many of the interventions that you guys shared with me today kind of circle around or center around telling a caring adult, telling your parents, telling your caregivers, telling a teacher, telling an administrator what's happening to you. But here's the thing. Only 20% of students actually share when they are being bullied. So that's 1 in 5 students. 1 in 5 students actually shares when they are being bullied. Why do you think some students choose not to share that they are being bullied?
Maybe because they don't want to make a big deal out of it or have the parents come down to the school.
Okay. Okay. They don't want to make a big deal out of it. They don't want their parents to come down to the school. Darren, what do you think may be some reasons why people don't tell the adults in their lives that they're being bullied?
They may not feel comfortable or they may not feel ready to.
So I think both of you are absolutely correct. Part of the reason why some people do not share that they are being bullied is twofold. Number one, They don't want to be judged. They don't want people to look at them and see them through the lens of the bully, right? So if I go to my mom and I tell my mom that someone has called me ugly, that someone has said that something else that hurts my feelings, part of me may be afraid that, you know, the adult that I am sharing may actually agree with the bully. And I can only imagine that that doesn't feel good. And the second reason that the data, remember I told you guys I went on those 3 sites. The second reason that the data was saying that some kids don't share is because they fear being rejected. So what that means is they don't want to go through the pain of sharing what has happened for them and then not have the adult in their life show up for them. Darin, did you have your finger up? Was there something that you wanted to share? No. Okay. What do you guys think about that? The fear of being judged and or the fear of being rejected. Is that a real thing?
Yes,
Yes. Which one is real?
both of them.
You want to say a little bit more about what makes them real, or what do you think the fear of rejection or the fear of being judged, why that may make someone not want to talk about being bullied from your own self's perspective?
Because maybe people would think you're a tattletale, or they may call you like a snitch.
So once the bully finds out or your peers find out that you have told, then they may judge you for being a tattletale or a snitch. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have fear that the adults themselves may judge you as a tattletale or a snitch?
No.
No. So it's not necessarily the adults that you're worried about, but it's more the students, your peers finding out that you told, and you think that they may judge you harshly.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Darin. Lang, what do you think? The fear of the rejection or fear of being judged, is that real to you?
Yes. There was just one time at my school where someone made a threat and I told the teacher and everybody called me a snitch for that. So I think that's the same scenario you're asking him right now.
It is. If you're open to sharing it, how did it make you feel when when you were called a snitch? How did that make you feel?
Well, the teacher was there to help me. She was saying I wouldn't want to go home knowing that that threat was made, not knowing if it would be true or not.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm glad that you had that adult there with you to help you process. Now, some of the other reasons why they say that children and youth, right, don't report being bullied is because there may be a desire, for lack of better words, to get even, right? Like I don't want to share this with a caring adult. Like this person embarrassed me, and I want to return the favor. I want to embarrass them back. Is that real? Does that really happen?
Yes, and people can take it too far when it comes to that. Like payback wise, my mom showed me an article one time about this kid being picked on and he brought a gun on a bus because he was being bullied at that time of matter.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because the truth of the matter is when you are bullied, it can make you feel some type of way. And you wanna get back at that person. The scary part is, like you said, Lang, people can go too far. So I agree with you. So quick question. So far, we've been talking about what it is like to be a victim of bullying. But the other part of that question is, how can you tell if you are a bully? How do I know if something that I have said to you, Darin, or said to you, Lang, crosses the line of bullying? How do I know?
I could tell if it's not a regular comment I would say to anyone or anywhere.
So if I am saying something to you that I would not repeat or don't feel proud enough to repeat, let's say, I guess maybe to my parents or to my little brother or sister, then I know that I am saying something that is mean-spirited and that's bullying.
Yes.
So Darin, how would I know if I said something mean to you?
Because usually if someone's joking with you, but usually they like don't mean it, but then one day they may make a joke that they actually mean, and then that person might get upset. And it just came out of nowhere because they only know one side of you because of your first impression.
Okay, very good. So you know that you're a bully based upon that person's response. Like if you have said something to someone that offends them, they normally show it in their body language and their facial expressions. Like you can tell if you have been a bully to someone. And I appreciate you guys for answering that question from your lens because believe it or not, Darin and Lang, we did an IG poll, right? So on my Ms.Dr.Kenya Instagram account, we asked the people what they wanted to talk about as it relates to bullying. And are you a bully was the question that people wanted answered the most. So I feel like people, children, youth, and adults alike kind of want to know if they are showing up kind. So I did take some time to look at some signs and symptoms to know if you are a bully. And I got all of this from stopbullying.gov, and they said, you know that your child or your youth is being a bully if they have unexplained injuries, if they have lost or destroyed belongings, if they are verbally and physically aggressive in general, if they have aggressive friends, if they have frequent detention or they're sent to the principal's office often, if they have unexplained extra money or belongings, if they blame others for their problems, if they just generally don't accept responsibilities for their actions, and if they are competitive or they are excessively worried about their reputation or popularity. Would you guys add or subtract anything to that list, like how you can kind of tell if your young person is a bully? Is there anything that you would add to that list or take away from that list? Does the list make sense to you?
Yes, it makes sense to me because what I'm sorry.
So you said it made sense to you because probably from what you know of a bully, right? These are people who would take something from somebody else. So if they're showing up with extra money, it kind of makes sense because the implication is that they took it from somebody else, that they would be aggressive. So the signs and the symptoms do kind of make sense.
Yeah.
Now here's that very same question on the flipped around. If I am a parent, which I am, how do I know if my child is being bullied? What would I see? How would I know if my child is being bullied? What would you guys tell me to look out for?
Oh, he could be just facial expressions, like you said earlier. If he's being bullied, he's not gonna be too happy about that.
A lack of eating, the lack of energy, maybe if they don't want to go anywhere, if they don't go out in public, if they not eat, or if they don't talk much. Yeah.
Ooh, Darin. Have you been cheating? Did you do some research on your own? I mean, because you hit every last one of these signs and symptoms that the experts gave. Are you sure you didn't sneak and look at my notes before you hopped on this call? Because that's exactly what the experts say. I told you guys that Darin and Lang were the experts in this. So Darin hit it the nail on the head. She said exactly what stopbullying.gov had to say, but let me just repeat it for those of you who weren't taking notes. Our resident expert, Miss Darin, talked about loss of interest in a change in eating habits, right? So you can see changes in eating habits, feelings of helplessness, decreased self-esteem, loss of interest in activities that the young person once enjoyed, more likely than not because they're trying to avoid the bully that is there, difficulty sleeping, frequent nightmares. They even call out declining grades. Now, what's interesting to me as a therapist is many of these signs and symptoms that they are talking about show up for young people who are bullied happen to be some of the same signs and symptoms of depression. So here we go. This is why there is a whole website, stopbullying.gov, dedicated to bullying. This is why there is a whole month dedicated to bullying prevention, because if it is not addressed early on and effectively, it can lead to mental illness. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety. It can become very serious. And so we really want to make sure that we're supporting our young people and stepping in so that their experiences with bullying does not get to the point where they're starting to have mental health issues, right? Like anxiety and depression and eating disorder, suicidal ideation, all of these things. We want to support them, and we want to support them early. So Darin and Lang, if you had an opportunity to speak to all of the adults in the world, right? How can we do a better job showing up and supporting you guys as it relates to your experiences with bullies? What can we do better? Darin, I'll start with you.
Maybe like start like by trying to get to know someone or try to understand how a person would listen to a person's perspective or opinion.
Okay, so what I heard you say is let them know that you see them, right? That you hear them, that you are concerned for them, and to make sure that you get them the help that they need. But I do kind of have a follow-up question to that, Darin. When we say like get them the help that they need, as an adult, should I get you specifically the help that you ask for? Should I get you the help that I think that you need, or both?
Maybe both, depending on how much you know about a certain mental illness.
Okay. So what you said was maybe both, depending upon, what I know about the seriousness of it or the severity of it. Okay, very good. So what that also means, though, is that for the adults in your life to really show up for you and to support you the way that you need to be supported, you guys got to tell us exactly what's going on, how it affected you, and how it's hurt you, so that we can make sure that we get you all of the support that we can, all of the resources and all of the tools that we have access to, so that we can show up for you and support you in the way that you need, right? So that it goes both ways. So I hear responsibility on both ends. Lang, what are some things that you would tell, the adults in the world in reference to how we can support our children, our nieces, our nephews, our neighbors, who are being bullied in school? How can we show up for you guys as adults?
I would just simply ask them to take time to talk to their kids about how bullying affects others, suicidal, like being suicidal, and all that other stuff.
Okay, thank you for that. Darin and Lang, as we bring our conversations to a close, again, your voices are far more important than mine. You two are the ones who are in the 7th grade, going to school every day, dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. Is there anything that you wanted to say, that you wanted to share related to bullying that we haven't had a chance to share? I want to make sure that you know that you have a platform here on Ms.Dr.Kenya. Is there anything that you want to share?
No.
Lang, were you about to say something?
I was gonna say I don't recommend it because what do you gain out of bullying people?
Beautiful. I love that statement. So your message is to the bullies, like what do you really get out of it? Just stop it, because you're hurting people and you're hurting yourself. So I appreciate you for bringing that up, Lang, because we talked about the signs and symptoms for folks who are victims of bullies, but bullies deal with things too. So bullies, believe it or not, we were just talking about how victims of bullies may deal with like depression and eating disorders and anxiety. But believe it or not, bullies themselves also deal with mental health signs and symptoms. Now, their signs and symptoms look more like substance use and abuse disorders. They also deal with being involved with the juvenile justice system, which means they get themselves in trouble with the law. Some of them, some data suggests that they have higher dropout rates, which means that they don't graduate from school at the same rates as other people do. So bullying isn't good for anyone involved. So thank you for that, bringing up that point, Lang. I do, as we, again, bring our conversation for this month to a close, I want to point you guys to a resource that my organization, Kaleidoscope Wellness and Education Group, has created. Right now, you can go on either the App Store or Google Play and download the K-Scope, capital K, capital S, capital C, capital OPE, K-Scope, short for Kaleidoscope, Wellness and Education app. On that app, it talks about what mental health is, how mental health lies upon a continuum of mental wellness and mental illness, and that most of us ebb and flow, right? But there are some things that you need to pay attention to let you know if you are experiencing a mental illness. We then talk about like the most common mental health disorders among children and youth, which we've kind of talked about some of them today: anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, eating disorders, so on and so forth. You do get strategies and skills, things that you can do at home and at school to help you manage your mental health. And if you want to talk to a therapist, as both Darin and Lang have recommended today, you are connected to a mental health therapist and you choose who you want to work with. There is a description of all of the therapists. You can look at those descriptions and decide who you want to work with, and you can book an appointment. So if you find yourself in need of help, there is help available to you right here, right now, by downloading the K-Scope Wellness and Education app. So with that being said, again, I truly, truly, truly thank both of you, Darin and Lang, for taking a whole hour out of your day to sit with me, to talk with me, to educate the public in reference to bullying and what it looks like. And I just want to walk away and close with what Darin and Lang have shared, and that is, at the end of the day, bullying has devastating effects for everyone involved. So let's do everything that we can on our end to support our young people, both bullies and victims of bullies, to make sure that none of our children are getting to the point where they are experiencing mental illness, because we as adults can step in and help them. So thank you for joining us this month for our Ms. Dr. Kenya YouTube conversation.